Hello and welcome to my channel for the watch. It's your girl Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Okay guys, we are talking about the latest episode of House of the Dragon season 2 episode number 3 called The Burning Mill. And before I get into anything, okay, I need to just get this out the way because I feel like if I don't, I'm gonna forget it. All right. Like in the scene where Aegon comes to, I guess that's the brothel, and he sees his brother in there with his, his old lady friend, and she is cuddling him or whatever she does for him. Okay. Before Aegon and his crew gets to Aemon, we see some genitalia sucking, and I was totally caught the heck off guard. Okay, I honestly, as much as I've watched Game of Thrones, and I could be wrong, I don't remember like literally seeing it like that. Okay. Yes, we saw some peen in Game of Thrones, and we probably seen some in House of the Dragon. Yes. But I literally do not remember somebody actually going in on the genitalia from shaft to base or whatever. Like, that was very, very explicit, and we really could have did without that. Okay. Was I surprised when they showed Aemon's situation? No, I wasn't. And they did it, if you can say tastefully, I'll say, they did it kind of tastefully because it wasn't like schlonging about. But like that situation with old girl going to town on that genitalia, that was too much, y'all. Okay. That was too much. Okay. Now let's get into this review. Okay, so keep in mind that I was only able to watch the episode once, okay? So some of the things that I might bring up, my memory might not be too sharp on it, or there might be some things that I missed or some details that I missed, okay? But I'm pretty much just talking about the general idea of certain scenes, okay? So in the beginning of the episode, we saw a slaughter, okay, between House Bracken and the Blackwoods. So I think it's the Brackens that are with Rhaenyra, okay? Because yeah, later on, which I'll talk about in a minute, we find out with Sir Criston Cole's plan to like get the Brackens to their side. So yeah, the Brackens are with Rhaenyra and the Blackwoods are with Aegon. So, the thing with these guys is that we know, and we've heard it plenty of times before, that their beef is like everlasting. It's been since probably the dawn of time. It's ancient, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like they hate each other so much that it's an on-site type of thing. So it doesn't even matter like what's really going on with the Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? It's really just about the fact that we hate each other, and that's what our ancestors taught us to do. So it's on site, and it's just like, it seems so senseless to me, right? And here's another thing that I think about when I think of them, like with the Blackwoods being with Aegon and the Brackens with Rhaenyra. It's almost like it could have been the other way around, right? Like the Blackwoods could have been with Rhaenyra, and then the Brackens would have just went with Aegon, just because like we could never be on the same side. So I wouldn't be surprised if House Bracken waited to see who the Blackwoods sided with before they actually picked a side. You know what I'm saying? That's where my mind goes with it. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's move on. So Rhaenys counsels Rhaenyra to reach out to Alicent, okay? Because she's like, listen, I was there when they did the whole thing to usurp the throne and everything, and Alicent wasn't really for those type of shenanigans. She doesn't want this. She doesn't want what this war is going to bring. And so Rhaenyra says, you know what, there's nothing else to talk about because Alicent's son sits on my throne. So ain't nothing to discuss, as far as she's concerned. And we'll definitely circle back to that. Now, we also see the funeral of Eric and Arik, and Jace doesn't appreciate that Eric's brother is being buried with him because he feels like it sullies Eric's grave, you know? And I kind of understand where he's coming from, you know? Eric was on their side, so Arik really should not be buried with them, you know? But at the same time, I appreciate Rhaenyra honoring Eric at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? She saw that this man loved his brother, okay? To the point where he had to take himself out because he could not live with the fact that he did what he did. And I think that for Rhaenyra, she had to think, you know what? If I'm going to honor Sir Eric in any way, his memory, I think he would have wanted to be buried with his brother. You know what I mean? So that's that, guys. Even though I understand where Jace is coming from, I also understand Rhaenyra's choice. All right, so now, guys, it's Sir Criston Cole's first meeting as Hand of the King, or the, what did he call it? A steel fist or iron fist? So that was Aegon, right? Calling him the iron fist or a steel fist. So for me, guys, as he's going into this meeting, he ain't ready. You know what I'm saying? He's not ready. And at first glance, guys, when he was walking through the halls and the staircases and stuff like that, it seems to me that he lost the respect that he used to get from the knights, you know? But then we find out that Aegon appointed new knights to the King's Guard. So it wasn't that the respect was lost, it was that these dudes weren't the same knights that Sir Criston Cole was used to. You know, they were like, yeah, we appointed some new knights to replace the ones that were lost. And then we had some little sly comments going on from one guy, and he's like, yeah, some lost unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? So we see that folks are looking at the loss of Sir Arik as pointless. You know, it was a senseless thing. And Alicent, she makes it clear that the scheme to send Arik to delete Rhaenyra was rash, okay? And of course, instead of owning up to his disgusting plan, Cole comes up with some type of stupid excuse, okay? But anyway, now, to top things off, Sir Criston Cole comes up with another elaborate scheme that Alicent tells him is an impatient one, you know? So his plan is to enlist the Brackens after turning the Crown Land houses to their cause, which will increase their numbers, okay? And eventually take Harrenhal. That's the whole plan. So mind you, guys, Sir Criston Cole is very uncomfortably listening to all of the advice from the small council, you know, all the members of the council. And he's lost because he is not a politician, okay? He's normally there just standing guard as the King's Guard. And so when they're sitting there talking about, oh, what we're going to do, this, that, and the third, he has nothing, okay? But eventually he comes up with this plan, which doesn't sound like a hand to me. It sounds like a Lord Commander. So it's kind of like he puts himself back into the position to be Lord Commander. Like, my point is here, regardless of what the duties of a hand entail, I feel like it made no sense for Criston Cole to be appointed hand, because the only thing he's good for is, you know, going out to battle or whatever. And even when it comes to the strategy part of it, he's terrible. Like Alicent is saying, you're being impatient. You're not even thinking. The same thing with sending Sir Arik to his death like that. It was just a terrible plan. Like Otto said, it was a prank. You know what I mean? It's foolishness. So he's just really not an asset in my opinion, okay? As far as the show goes, you know what I'm saying? All right, so enough of that clown, okay, guys? So we see Mysaria, and she's talking to Rhaenyra. And so Rhaenyra is saying that, listen, I heard you came back and you warned us and all of that stuff. And so she's like, I guess you want a reward. And, you know, Mysaria's like, yeah, you know, I do. And I want a place in your court as a reward. Okay. We also hear that she wants revenge against the Hightowers for what they did. Remember in the first season, Larys pretty much set fire to her living quarters and you know, where all her little spiders were. or whatever she calls them. So that's pretty much that. We're going to see how that goes. And she knows the ins and outs, you know, and the comings and goings of King's Landing. So that is a very important thing. So she now seems to have her own little master of whispers. But let's see how far her reach will go, since she's going to be a Dragonstone, you know? I mean, we saw in Game of Thrones, Varys' reach was tremendous, okay? Like, Rose seemed to have no limits. So I'm hoping that Mazaria will also have no limits for Rhaenyra as well when it comes to, you know, knowledge being her trade and all, okay? So next, guys, let's quickly talk about Sea Smoke, who has grown restless lately, okay? Like, the poor baby needs a rider, all right? That's all I have to really say about that. He's just been screeching and making noise and just flying around. Like, it's a lot. And we did see, I forgot his name, but he's the brother of Alan, I believe. Is it Adam? I think it's Adam. We saw Sea Smoke flying around him and Adam was looking up. I don't know if that means he's going to be the next rider for Sea Smoke. I do remember in the book that a rumored bastard child of Corlys was the new rider, if I'm remembering correctly, okay? Now, anyway, guys, let's move on. So Rhaenyra sends Rhaena off with her boys to Pentos, okay? She tells her, be a mother to them. Now, for Rhaena, this is like a slight because she feels invaluable to them because she doesn't have a dragon. And she's like, what about my sister? And Rhaenyra's like, well, she's going to stay here. And Rhaena was like, why? Because she has a dragon. You know what I'm saying? So she does feel like she's pretty much worthless to them. And, you know, I'm just going to go and be like a little babysitter, you know what I'm saying? But I think in the end, when she was saying goodbye to her kids and stuff, she also showed Rhaena these 3 dragon eggs. And she was saying, listen, if all turns to crap here, you are the savior. You're basically the one that's going to save our line, okay? Dragons and all. So basically, if the dragons kill each other and we kill each other, at least we know that we still have my children left and a few dragons also, okay? And I think she also gave some baby dragons to, I think it was Lady Jane Eyre, that's her aunt. Her aunt wants a dragon in order to pledge fealty to her and stuff like that. So that was that. I think once Rhaena saw that she was tasked with a bigger responsibility, something that had to do with like saving their bloodline, basically, I think she felt more honored. And so when I think about it further, guys, the look of those eggs and the fact that it's 3 eggs, I'm wondering if those are the eggs that were petrified or so-called petrified, right? That Illyrio gifted to Daenerys, right? On her wedding day to Khal Drogo. Are those the eggs, guys? Because it kind of looks like it. It looks like I'm looking at a black egg that looks like Drogon. That's what the colors look like to me, okay? It's giving Drogon, Rhaegal, Viserion. That's crazy that could come from Rhaenyra. Oh my gosh. What do you guys think about that? If those are the eggs, this was actually a great plan of Rhaenyra. But unfortunately, it didn't work out in the end because, you know, the dragons still died and stuff like that. But we do have Drogon flying around somewhere, though. At least we got 1 dragon left in the world, okay? So that's that, guys. Now let's move on to Daemon, who claims Harrenhal with no argument from Simon Strong, who bends the knee, okay, and pledges fealty to Rhaenyra. Like, Daemon was like, I'm here to take Harrenhal. He said, apparently so. And we've got some venison stew and this and that. And when he said black cabbage, I was like, ew, like what the heck is black cabbage, child? I didn't even want to try to look it up. It just sounds like something rotten, but hey, some of the stuff sounds kind of good, you know, with everything he was talking about. We got some food here for you. But the main thing that I want to bring up about this whole scene was that Daemon wanted to be called Your Grace, okay? And I was just like, oh my gosh, like here we go. This is exactly what Rhaenyra was talking about. This is exactly what Rhaenys was talking about. Like, he doesn't want to be ruled. He doesn't want to be dominated. Yes, he may be doing stuff for Rhaenyra in Rhaenyra's name and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He's on her side for sure, but you're not about to call me Prince. You're going to say Your Grace. And Simon Strong was like, forgive me. I I guess I got it confused with the proper title for the king consort, you know what I'm saying? And that's when we heard Daemon just say, "Your Grace." And it was just like, oh gosh, here we go with the nonsense, Daemon, okay? And then the crazy thing about it is he wanted to talk about how, he wants to meet with the liege lord of, I think, like the Brackens and the Blackwoods, was it? I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was like, the houses in the Riverlands or something like that, guys. The liege lord is a Tully, okay? And apparently he doesn't have any control over his bannermen anymore, and he doesn't have control over his bowels either, okay? But Daemon says, I still want to meet with him, and people should be respecting their liege lord regardless of his condition. And the only thing that I could think about when he says this was, well, maybe you should take your own advice, because Rhaenyra is the queen, okay? And in this case, her condition is female. So maybe you need to really not be a hypocrite and just follow your own advice. And I do not hate Daemon, guys. I actually like him. But like, for him to let that come out of his mouth right after he wanted somebody to call him Your Grace, it was just like, you backwards, my guy. Anyway, so guys, let's move on. We see Sir Gawain Hightower coming to meet with his sister. And when Sir Criston Cole appears, Alicent is letting it be known, like, listen, my brother's going to go out into battle with you guys. You know what I'm saying? And Sir Criston Cole's like, oh, we don't need you. We have enough, or whatever he said. And I was just wondering, I'm like, I wonder what this is all about. You know what I'm saying? I kind of feel like it had a lot to do with Alicent not trusting Sir Criston Cole, because she said it, like, he lacks temperance, and I don't want this guy on the battlefield with my son. Okay, like, I don't want him leading anybody to a slaughter or anything like that, because clearly that's what she believes is going to happen. I know that she didn't say all these things, but what she did say was that his plan to go and take Harrenhal and, well, eventually take Harrenhal and do all the other stuff that he wanted to do, that it was an impatient type of plan. Like, you're just rushing into things, decisions, and you're not really thinking about it. There's no strategy. There's nothing. So I think that was her plan, to like have her brother there. And Sir Criston Cole wasn't really feeling it. And you can see that she kind of doesn't have that type of time for Sir Criston Cole in this episode, because when she was walking away, he's like, oh, can I have your favor or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And so she gave it to him or whatever, he's still simping, but I don't know, for some reason she kind of has an attitude. And I think it has a lot to do with, just him in this position. And I don't think she feels that it's a good thing for everybody. So let's move on from there. Really quickly, I do want to mention that a crow, or a raven that was eating Cheese's eye. So they're still up on there. They're still hanging. The rat catchers are still hanging. Now, honestly, when I saw it, I didn't see the other rat catchers. So I'm assuming all of them are up there. But Cheese, his eye was getting eaten out, and it was disgusting, okay? Anyway, y'all, so let's move on. Okay, so we see Rhaenyra's council. They seem to be taking her for a joke. That's what I'm looking at, okay? They keep saying that she's vulnerable, and the certain things that she's saying, they're kind of like laughing and stuff like that. And they're suggesting to send her away. And, Rhaenys is there, and she's looking at them like, honestly, the way she be looking at them, it's almost like she wants to have their heads or their tongues or something like that, because she does not appreciate the disrespect. So when Rhaenyra walks away, Rhaenys is like, listen, I want to remind you guys that she wears the crown that my grandfather, Jaehaerys the Conciliator, wore, okay? For many years, the longest reigning king, even longer than Aegon the Conqueror. So y'all need to start putting some respect on her name, okay? That's me paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what it was all about. All right, y'all. So I just love Rhaenys. I'm sorry, I do. I just love her. But anyway, y'all, let's move on to Helaena, who tells Alicent that she forgives her, guys. In this scene, we have Helaena saying that she feels sad about Jaehaerys, and she's like, I don't think I should. She was saying that she kind of felt like the people, when they were going through the funeral procession, that she felt like they looked at her as if she shouldn't be sad or something, or shouldn't be grieving more than them or something like that, because of the fact that low-born people go through more hardships. Or, that's kind of what I was getting out of that conversation. But the bottom line is that, she's feeling sad about her son. And I love how she's expressing it to her mom. And she even asked her mom, like, what about you? Because Alicent was trying to tell her something, trying to give her words of encouragement, I guess. But to me, it's just not good enough. And Helaena says, what about you? Right? And Alicent said, well, I loved Jaehaerys, but I'm more concerned about you. And when Helaena said, I forgive you, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Okay, because Alicent was like, what? And she said, I forgive you. There's no explanation, no nothing. I don't need to tell you what I forgive you for. You know what I forgive you for, because you feel guilty. Okay, because while the Kingsguard should have been doing his job, you had him on his back while you was doing your thing, riding. So, yeah, I forgive you for that, because something terrible happened to mine on your watch. Okay? I love it. I mean, Helaena, she's goals, like when it comes to just that sweet demeanor and not being angry, but still being able to show somebody like, this is how I feel, and probably making them feel like crap about it, like without yelling and screaming and all that kind of stuff. Like, man, she's just so poised. Like, I love her. And just like Tyrion said to Cersei, I don't blame Tommen and Marcella at all for you. I don't blame them, okay? Like, so I don't blame Helaena. Like, I just feel bad that this is the family that she was born into. And that's just that. Let's move on to Aegon, who makes Larys his master of whispers, okay? And, let me tell you guys something, right? When it comes to Larys, I think I might have said this in a previous video. I don't understand his endgame. Like, of course, he's giving me very much Littlefinger, but at least with Littlefinger, you knew that he was trying to climb, right? And for Larys, I just don't understand what he wants. And that's the most dangerous part of it all. Like, what the heck do you want? Right? Like, and I think this is the reason why a lot of people at first, they were trying to figure out, like in last season, the people that I was doing panels with, they were comparing him a lot to Varys, Lord Varys, and a mixture of Littlefinger. I totally understand it, but it's more Littlefinger than Varys, because to me, Varys was more of a good guy. Yes, he did some things that was, a little crazy and things like that, but like for the most part, like when he said he did something for the realm, I believe it. Right? Like, I'm really for the little people. Like, I'm really not about y'all. So whoever I think is going to be the right king or the right queen for the people, then I'm going to do whatever, dirty stuff or not, that I have to do to get that person in position. So that's what I liked about Varys. And it took a while for some people to understand what he really wanted, right? So that's the only way I could compare Larys and Varys. But when it comes to like the Littlefingering stuff, like, that dude and Littlefinger is more alike, because they are just evil and, they're conniving and all that stuff. And they do things behind people's back and manipulate so that certain things can take place. But my thing is, what do you want? That's the only difference between Larys and Littlefinger. I don't understand what Larys wants, right? We saw him get rid of his father and his brother so he can be Lord of Harrenhal, but the dude ain't even there. Instead, he's Littlefingering his way around King's Landing and the Red Keep and stuff. And so now he's coming to Aegon with these fake whispers, that he's made up, I believe, just on the fly, because he heard that Aegon is going out to battle and stuff like that. So he's coming with the good news first. He's saying, oh, the people think you're so brave for going out and da-da-da. And then you have some people that are saying that you're being tricked or manipulated and stuff like that. And remember, guys, I only saw it one time, so I might not be saying everything, I know I'm not saying it verbatim, but I'm just giving the general idea of the conversation, right, that I remember. And so the point is that he straight up manipulated Aegon into making the better decision, which was to stay there. Okay? Stay there, stay put. In the small council, they was already trying to tell him, you don't need to go. You know what I'm saying? But he's like, oh no, I'm more fearsome than most of these people and all this stuff, you know? And so he was going to go anyway. But then you needed someone like Larys to manipulate him. And unfortunately, that's how it has to go sometimes. When it comes to weak-minded people like Aegon and insecure people like Aegon, they do have to be manipulated. But you want them to be manipulated by the right person. Now, I will say that Larys, as evil as he is, I think this was the best manipulation. Like, he manipulated Aegon to make the right decision for himself. So when he leaves, Aegon is like, you know what, my father, he said he didn't need a master of whispers, but I think that you'll do good for me and stuff like that. So he made him the master of whispers. So now we see that Rhaenyra has her master of whispers and we got Aegon with his, okay? May the best man or woman win. Now, we also saw that whoever these new knights are that replaced the older knights, they are Aegon's friends. So they think that they could still be out here sexing and doing this and doing that. And Aegon is like, you guys took a vow of chastity. Like, you know, and they thought he was playing around, but he didn't crack a smile. And they was like, oh yeah, right, you know. So he smiled after that, but then they still wound up going to a brothel later on, which is like, I mean, we didn't see them doing anything, but it was still kind of like, what you doing at the brothel? But we'll talk about that in a minute, okay, guys? But first I want to talk about this story being told at the brothel by this man named Ulf, okay? And he is telling these men around him that he is the brother of Viserys and Daemon Targaryen, okay? He doesn't have the hair or anything like that, but he is saying, I am the bastard brother, okay? Now, as he's talking all of this trash and, you know, he's basically saying that the true heir to the throne is his nephew, Jace Velaryon, in comes Aegon. And so the dude almost crapped some bricks because he thought that Aegon heard him. But Aegon comes in and he's like, oh, drinks on me, this and that and the third, whatever. So then as Aegon is making his way through the brothel, they go back there and they see Aemon with his lady, all right? Just being cradled with his naked self. And he's making fun of him. He starts making fun of his brother. And all I could think about is in last week's episode, how Aemon was pouring his heart to the woman saying, you know, they used to make fun of me all the time and stuff like that. And now here it is again. Aegon is still making fun of Aemon. And Aemon leaves. He walks away and you see this really furious look on his face and everything. And all I could think of is, how is Aemon going to make Aegon pay for that? You know, like when they were younger, they made fun of him. He didn't get a dragon, but then he got the biggest one, okay? He got the last laugh with that one. But now this dude, his brother, is making fun of him, right? And then also trying to say that this chick that he's with, nobody can have. Aemon don't want nobody to have sex with her, this and that. So he was like, nah, your boys can have her, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy. And then he walked out. And like I said, with that furious face, and that's just my next thought was like, okay, like, how is he going to pay? Because to me, it looks like he's going to make him pay some way. Not with his life or anything, but I'm getting the sense that there's going to be a consequence for you coming here, Aegon, with your boys and making fun of me like that, especially in a place where I receive solace. How freaking dare you, you know? So anyway, let's move on, guys, okay? Now, Baela, she sees Criston Cole's scout party out in the open and Moondancer was ready for a few snacks, okay? But they went and like hid in the forest, right? And so now she couldn't see them. The dragon is above the trees and she could not see them anymore. The only thing is that she didn't keep the distance that Rhaenyra told her to keep. So there's a little bit of that Daemon coming out of her where it's like, you're not really following orders, you know what I'm saying? But we'll see how far that goes. That's just something that I realized, that she did not totally follow orders. Keep your distance was the whole thing. So nobody was supposed to make you out, right? But they did make you out, which means that you were too close. Okay? Not good, girl. Not good. Okay? But, she didn't harm anyone, and that was that. Okay, so once again at the council, though, at Rhaenyra's council, they're calling for her to use the dragons to get busy. Okay, we need to use the dragons to get down and dirty. Stop playing with these ninjas, girl. And so Rhaenyra says, you know what? I'm hearing everything that you guys are saying. I will think about it and we will reconvene, okay? And you got Rhaenys over there smiling, okay? Because I think Rhaenys admires that Rhaenyra is a thinker and she is not trying to jump into anything without a strategy, right? And she's not trying to make emotional decisions. And the crazy thing is that's what they keep trying to put out there about her counsel. They keep trying to make it seem like, oh, you're vulnerable, you're emotional, you're this, you're that. And it's like, what are you talking about? She has not made a move yet. They are so annoying. I feel like she should get rid of most of them, guys, honestly. All right, guys, so let's move on. So Daemon is at Harrenhal and he has this vision of young Rhaenyra sewing the head of a baby. And I think that it's Jaehaerys's head. I think the baby is Jaehaerys, but I honestly don't really know how he looks. So a part of me was wondering, is it one of his own sons? To hit home a little harder, was it one of his own sons? But I think it most likely was definitely Jaehaerys's, because she said, always coming and going, and I have to clean up afterwards. So most likely that's who the baby was. And I think that was obviously meant to kind of play on his guilty conscience. You know what I'm saying? But it was cool seeing young Rhaenyra though, right? And I think that it made a lot of sense for him to see young Rhaenyra because he really had a soft spot for her at that age, okay? But anyway, guys, there's also a strange woman who, when he got to Harrenhal, she was there. And then she also was in the vision. Okay, she's a brunette. And she tells him that he will die in this place. He will die at Harrenhal. Now, I'm not going to say anything about what goes on in the book. So let's just say that we will see if what she says comes to pass. That's it. Okay, now next, let's move on. Okay, so Rhaenyra disguises herself as a septa so that she can talk to Alicent about making peace. So clearly we see that she eventually decides to take Rhaenys' advice and goes to King's Landing to see Alicent. All right, so basically, without going into crazy detail, in this conversation, Alicent tells Rhaenyra that her father changed her mind, okay? Of course, Rhaenyra doesn't believe that, but Alicent stands on it. And she tells Rhaenyra that she may have been unkind a lot of the times, but never untrue, okay? So Rhaenyra looks Alicent in the eyes, and she can see that Alicent is telling the truth. So now Rhaenyra, she digs further. And she's kind of got tears forming in her eyes. And now she wants Alicent to tell her what Viserys said. What was his last moments like? What did he say? Did he mention my name? Alicent says no. And that's when Alicent mentioned that Aegon was the prince that was promised, right? And this let Rhaenyra know that she was mistaken the whole time. She, meaning Alicent. Alicent was mistaken the whole time, okay? And it was a confirmation, all right, because she was really about to think oh, snap, my father really changed his mind for real. And here's my thing, though. Even if that were the case, right, even if he did change his mind, why would you believe what he says? You know what I'm saying? Because he made sure that before he died, he let it be known that it's still Rhaenyra, and he let it be known in front of everybody that mattered. Why would he go into the confines of his, his bedchamber or whatever to tell his wife only? None of that really makes sense. So anyway, Rhaenyra tried to tell Alicent that she made a mistake, but Alicent refused to believe it, okay? So then she tells Rhaenyra to leave before she is discovered, and Rhaenyra pleads with Alicent one more time, telling her that she can fix this and stop thousands of people from dying, but Alicent says it's too late, okay? She's like, look, Aemon is out there Sir Criston Cole then left, and she's like, do you know what Aemon is now? You know? And she's like, it's just too late. Okay. And then she walks away. And that is how the episode ends, guys. And I was like, oh, sookie now. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode. We see in the trailer for the next week that it's on. Rhaenyra has decided that we bringing the dragons into this fight. So the dance seems to begin in next week's episode, and I can't wait. All right, thank you so much for your time. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, take care and be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.